Vidya Bhagavatadivihi stated that the limit of knowledge is that which is described in Srimad Bhagavatam. Of course, there is no limit to knowledge because knowledge about Krishna, the Supreme Unlimited, there's no end to that. But as far as learning goes, the ultimate limit is given in Srimad Bhagavatam. Here we see in Srimad Bhagavatam not only knowledge of our transcendental relationship with Krishna, but also all knowledge for the advancement and betterment of human society. Traditionally, of course, the Bhagavatam commenters, they would not have gone so much into describing how men and women should be combined in marriage, because that was part of the culture in Indian life or in Vedic society, Varnashram society. And that was well known to all. Many of the points which Prabhupada explains to us in detail, they were well known to all in the Vedic times or the followers of the Bhagavad philosophy. Just like we see even in the Bhagavatam, in the 9th canto, there is a summary description of Lord Ramachandra's pastimes. Shukadeva Goswami says to Parikshit Maharaj that you've already heard this many times because everybody knew. And people would discuss, just in the course of ordinary activities, people in traditional Vedic society, still now you find few, very few Vaishnavas, families or Vaishnav gurukuls, where in the course of ordinary conversation they will discuss, oh yes, just like Ram said to Sita at that time, or just like Sita said to Ram. Bring in, because it's understood, everyone knows, the background is there, a very solid background of Vedic culture. So this Vedic culture, that was one of Prabhupada's points, to re-establish this. What Prabhupada is discussing here, what he discusses throughout his books and his conversations, is something quite different from the culture that we in the West have been brought up with. When Prabhupada is talking about women being submissive, the marriage being arranged, all these things, it's anathema to people brought up in the modern society, that the marriage should be arranged. But actually, still in traditional cultures all over the world, it's still very strict. I was reading recently about one Muslim was saying that he was living in Israel, as Arab living in Israel. He's saying that the Israelis, they won't destroy us. They won't destroy us by their guns. They won't make us to submit by their guns. But they'll spoil our culture. They'll spoil our culture by their educational system. He said they'll turn all our girls into prostitutes. In the schools, they're all mixed up, girls and boys, and they're taught modern dance and all different kinds of things. He said this will spoil our culture. In this way, they will spoil us. So still, all over the world, in traditional cultures, it was very strict, all these points. How men and women should mix, actually very limited mixing. And that also under restrictions, not only for brahmacharis, but for grihastas also. I remember reading when I was a child, what was that? Someone was saying that someone was living, someone from Ireland had emigrated to New Zealand, and they wrote a letter back home saying, well, now I'm going to get married to such and such a girl. And he got a letter back saying, well, you can do whatever you like, but you're not my son anymore. You can't just arrange your own marriage. He was living on the other side of the world. But still they were thinking that, no, everything should be done under the direction of the parents, because actually young people, especially when people are very young, even from the material point of view, not to speak of transcendental knowledge, but even from the material point of view, young people tend to be foolish. They tend to act impulsively on the basis of if it feels good, do it, on the basis of the senses. Therefore, those who are older, of course, nowadays those who are older, they were brought up without any culture, so they don't know anything anyway. But previously, people were brought up in such a way, they were trained in social behavior, that the whole society all over the world was based on God consciousness. So people were brought up in such a way that they could live a reasonably sane kind of life as much as possible in this insane world, and live peacefully. get married and stay married. There was no question. They would say in the Christian rites, till death us do part. Now, till death or divorce us do part, and most likely divorce. This is those who bother even to get married, or those who get married, those who bother to get married in a church. They will say, till death us do part, not till divorce us do part. We'll live happily ever after until my next marriage. I'm getting married now, but I was thinking of getting married to the other girl, and probably I will afterwards. I'll ditch this one. So this modern society, so-called civilization, as Prabhupada notes here, is not actually human society, because they're not actually humans. As Prabhupada says here, children produced in the modern age are not exactly human beings. Prabhupada used to say that they're two-legged animals. Or he would say that modern so-called civilized man is lower than the lowest animal. Why is that? He gave the example, if you kill your mother and you kill your child, what kind of a person are you? You're not even a human being. Even the animals, even the tigers and lions, the ferocious animals, they don't do that. So we're being brought up in a subhuman society. You'll find in Vedic culture there's description of bheels, or those who dwell in the jungle and no culture. It's expected among such people they may do such things. Not even that, they won't kill their own children or their mother. But such things, they may wantonly have sex outside marriage and produce more aborigines like themselves. But those who are civilized, Beel means jungle dweller, aborigine. And you'll see their facial features very black and fierce looking. So actually those who are from the Aryan race, those who are from Europe, Prabhupada described, they are Aryan race. They're supposed to be, physically they're descended from the Aryans of India. Aryan doesn't exactly mean, as Hitler thought, a certain racial group, but it means those who are advanced in culture. But that came to be known as the people who are living in India, and they came to these Western countries. Being chased away by Parashuram, some of the Kshatriyas came to the Western countries, and they started some kind of civilization, something resembling civilization. So actually people who are born in these countries, Jai Radha Govinda, they're supposed to be civilized, but due to lack of contact with Vedic culture, and over many, many years, of course this is a great historical understanding that according to some historians, previously the inhabitants of the British Isles, the Celts and the Druids, they followed a culture which was very similar to the Vedic culture. This when I was in Ireland when was that? About 1976, it must have been 76, 77. Our devotees, they were visiting the professors in the universities for selling sets of Prabhupada's books. And they met, I think it was in Trinity College, they met one professor whose life's scholastic career was investigating the similarities between the Vedic culture and the ancient Irish culture. And I remember selling this Ishopanishad to farmers from the western part of Ireland, and some of them they'd say, just read this, it's Ishavasamidam Sarva. So what language is that? Is that Irish or what is that? They were thinking it was very similar to our language. So actually originally the culture all over the world was Vedic culture, but in this country what happened in the name of Christianity, it's a long history which we need not be so much concerned with, but it appears, it's very difficult to say exactly what happened, but it appears that Christianity, the institution of Christianity, was taken over by pagans. By pagans means, of course they call the pagans the Druids and the Celts, but actually those who were total materialists, people who were totally materialistic, took over Christianity and destroyed the original Vedic culture which was spread, maybe not in its highest form, but that was spread all over Europe. So they introduced meat eating, intoxication, non-belief in reincarnation, and philosophical ideas developed, so-called philosophical ideas developed from that, which were totally divorced from reality. Just like we see the Aquinas, Aquinas and Augustine, they're the two pillars of Catholic philosophy. But they spiritually they were quite ignorant. They don't know what is the difference between the soul and the body. So they propagated so many ideas. So even some spirituality was coming through, but later that was found to be inconsistent with what they understood in terms of science, and therefore they threw the whole thing out and they introduced new gurus such as Freud, Darwin, and Marx, who said, we have the solutions to all your problems. God is not the solution. You need to listen to us. We will tell you. What is your problem? You're having all these problems, all these mental problems, because you're descended from monkeys and you have some monkey instinct in you. Therefore you have to express that by beating someone over the head, or you're suppressing your sexual desires. According to Freud, all problems are caused because you're suppressing your sexual desires. According to Krishna, all your problems are coming because you're too much full of sexual desires. The enemy is lust. This is psychology that is also there. Here we see there is description of psychology, how to manage the marriage of boys and girls. Prabhupada gave a whole lecture on this once in London, Bhagavad Gita class. That was titled, in the tape ministry of Prabhupada, I was given the title, The Psychology of Chastity. So he described how a young girl, before she comes to maturity, she should be married, so she knows, this is my husband. She becomes attached to him, and therefore the anxiety in her mind is subdued, and she fixes her mind on that person, and in this way, throughout life, she won't think of anybody else. And of course, she's trained from childhood. The girls, they hear from their grandmothers, very much needed in human society, grandmothers, who've been through all the different problems, and they just, okay, it's all right. Don't get too upset. Give assurance. Teach you how to cook chapatis and how to deal with your husband and all these different things. So the grandmothers would teach the young girls, the granddaughters, what is the character of Sita, what is the character of Kunti, Draupadi. In this way, they have an ideal to look up to. Their ideal of the young girl as they're growing up is Sita, especially Sita, or Kunti, Draupadi, Savitri. These are their ideals, not Madonna or some actually just complete prostitute. These are young girls they're imitating. And how will they grow up? They'll grow up complete prostitutes. And then, as this verse Prabhupada was commenting on, what is that? Jayate vana sankara. When the women are polluted, then what kind of children will be produced? They'll be produced not exactly human beings, as Prabhupada says here. Not exactly human beings. So what do you expect? Therefore, so many points. Prabhupada was teaching all the different points. Economic system of society, social system of society, how we should live. What is the economic system? You can go to university and study economics. And every year, big books, so many books are produced. Economics, business studies, commerce. You can go to different theories, how to adjust give a loan here, increase the interest rate here, introduce a new kind of product here. A very complex economic system. Now, Prabhupada, he gave the economic system. You live on the land, you have cows. You produce your own food, you produce your own clothes, you produce everything you need, and you chant Hare Krishna. This is the economic system. This will solve all the economic problems. You don't have to have a conference, big conference, Bill Clinton, Boris Yeltsin, all fly in, discuss everything, get drunk together, and go home. And then give a new economic 5-year plan, 10-year plan, 20-year plan. In the meantime, they all died and someone else came in someone else came in with a new plan, and everything is just extremely complex, and no one knows what's going on, and they're predicting the whole world economic system will collapse. But this economic system, that will never collapse. Land, cows, Krishna. That's all. That's all you need. You need clothes, there are sheep. You can take the wool. There's flax. You can make cotton. You can make. You live at home. Spin. Do it. And you chant Hare Krishna. What more do you need? They will think this is very primitive. We have to be advanced. We have to have big, big factories with pollution. And then we will be advanced. It's not advanced. This is advancement in ignorance. So Prabhupada is giving a whole different culture, whole different approach, actually back to sanity. We're talking about going back to Godhead, but practically how to establish Krsna consciousness in human society means back to sanity movement. We should have a political party, the sanity party, because they're all insane, whatever they're saying. This party, that party, they're all madmen. That Prabhupada was saying, what will they do in the United Nations? They want to, United Nations, bring them together for peace. It's not possible, because they're all barking like dogs. Their consciousness is like that of a dog. This is my country, just like you come past a house and the dog, roo, roo, this is my house. You don't come here. So suddenly, this is my country. Barking like... So if you put dogs together in a room, will you get peace? No, they'll just bark like animals, that's all. So you can't get peace in the United Nations. And you can't, either individually or collectively, you can't get peace unless you recognize Krishna. This is the peace formula. It works individually and it works on the whole society level. Well, how do we get peace? What is the solution? You don't have to have big, big conferences. All you have to do is learn one verse from Bhagavad Gita. What is that verse? Who can say? Bhuktaram yagya tapasam. Go on. Sarva loka maheshwaram. You can say if you know. Suhridam sarva bhutanam. Gyatva mang shantim richati. How to get peace? Just know. Krishna is the supreme enjoyer. I am not the supreme enjoyer. I'm thinking I'm the supreme enjoyer. That is the cause of all my problems, because I can't enjoy. I want to have the whole world at my disposal to enjoy. I can't get it, therefore I become frustrated. And even if I do get it, I'll still be frustrated, because that is not my proper place for enjoyment. I'm not the enjoyer. I'm supposed to enjoy by serving Krishna, trying to make him happy. Then I become happy. So when I understand that everything's meant for Krishna, then I get peace. Because as long as we're thinking, let me enjoy this, let me enjoy that, let me enjoy this, why aren't I enjoying? Wow, this person is stopping my enjoyment. All my problem is caused by this. All my problem is caused by my wife. Therefore, throw her out, divorce her. Or all my problems are caused by my husband. So divorce him, find another one. No, this is not the problem. The problem is that we are considering ourselves to be the enjoyer. We're not the enjoyer. Sarvaloka Maheshwaram. Krishna is the proprietor. I'm not the proprietor. Stop trying to lord it over material nature. Krishna is this overlord. Everything is meant to be offered to him. But we're trying to accumulate. Let me get more and more and more. But this simply causes frustration. And suhridam sarva bhutanam. We want friendship, but we don't know that Krishna is our supreme friend. We're trying to get friendship in the mundane world on the I scratch your back, you scratch my back basis. That I will give you some sense gratification, you give me sense gratification. But we have to understand that Krishna, he is our supreme friend. And if we know Krishna is protecting me, then what is the cause for disappointment? So just these three things we have to know. This is complete solution to all the political problems of the world. Actually, the solution to all the problems is Krishna conscious. Whether you take economic problem, whether you take social problems, crime problem. This one time in Chicago, Prabhupada called one chief of police to discuss how to solve the crime problem. Prabhupada said, I can solve it. You just bring me all the criminals and we'll chant Hare Krishna and we'll give them prasad. And we'll stop them being criminals. That's all. Why are people becoming criminals? Because they're being induced to enjoy it grossly, more and more and more and more, consumeristic society means. Get money, buy something else. You'll see people, they have in their houses 50 shirts per person, 25 pairs of shoes, 3 cars per person, 2 TVs per person. What they'll do with 2 TVs, I think. Maybe watch with each eye or something. And you have to go squint-eyed or something. So many, you find people, especially coming from India, you see, or even from Russia, they don't do this. You go in people's houses in the West, maybe not in Ireland so much, because the economic condition is not so developed, but you find people's houses just full of junk. So much junk. They buy all these electrical items, they never use them. They buy dozens of toys for their kids. Whenever they go shopping, they buy some new toy for their kids. Their houses, they have these huge houses and just rooms full of junk. Nonsense things they buy. But they feel it's like some kind of addiction. They feel, I have to buy something, I have to spend some money. They feel good. I spend some money. And they just buy complete rubbish things. So the whole society is a society of complete madmen. But the solution is very simple. Chant Hare Krishna. This is the solution to all the problems. Whatever problems we may have, whatever problems society has, if we chant Hare Krishna, and not only that, but institute the Vedic culture as Srila Prabhupada has described in his books, then there won't be any problems. Problems will be there, because the material world, the very nature is that it is full of problems. But if we understand that all these problems are temporary, therefore whatever the problems are, they're not very significant. Whatever problems we may have in this material world, it'll go away in course of time. And what problems do we have? Look at the problems Prahlad Maharaj had. I mean, talk about child abuse. You see, Prahlad Maharaj, his father wasn't just giving him a slap now and then. He was going to throw him in the snake pit, give poison food, throw him off the edge of a cliff. Prahlad Maharaj, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram. Hello, Father. He was so frustrated. Hiranyakashipu was totally frustrated because Prahlad, he was trying to destroy him, but he couldn't destroy him. Pandavas, they were so noble. Here we have Yata Shila, their Shila, their character was so good. They were first class rulers of the world, come from a great dynasty, sons of a great king, daughters of a great queen. But they had to suffer so much. Their kingdom was taken away, they were exiled in the forest. So many ways the Duryodhana's party tried to kill them, their wife was insulted. But they knew that anyway, Krishna is our friend, Krishna is our protector. Whatever happens, everything in this world is temporary, so let us practice our Krishna consciousness. So if one has that vision, the vision of eternity, I'm not this body, I'm not this mind, so whatever happens with this body and mind, that's all temporary. But anyway, let me go on chanting Hare Krishna. That is my eternal need. That is my eternal necessity. Whatever you feel like. Nowadays, people put, what do you feel like? What are your feelings? What are your emotions? Analyze this, that, the other. But anyway, what does it matter? Whether you're hot or cold, or you may feel a little down, or you may feel a little lively, or whatever it may be, you have to go on chanting Hare Krishna. That is for your eternal benefit. So, this Krishna consciousness is so simple, so straightforward. Little common sense is needed, but the basic principles are so simple. But we are coming from such a complex background. We think that unless everything's very complex, unless I have a whole bunch of problems, there's something wrong with me. If you're just simple and chanting Hare Krishna, then and there must be something wrong. What's wrong with me? There's nothing wrong. Let me invent some problem. Go and make some problem. But actually life is meant to be lived very simply. Simple living and high thinking. High thinking doesn't mean to go inside our mind and screw it up in different ways with so many different theories. High thinking means to understand Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. I am His eternal servant. Human life is meant for understanding Krishna. High thinking means to study Srimad Bhagavatam, to discuss Srimad Bhagavatam. High thinking doesn't mean to discuss all the theories of rascals who don't know anything about reality, who are simply expert in talking big long words, but they can't even solve their own problems. So how are they going to solve anyone else's problems? This whole society, they've simply made They've made a complex society which is full of problems in every way. Pollution, so many problems. And then someone is considered a great scholar if he gives some theory how to solve the problem. But here we have the ultimate solution. People don't want it. The ultimate solution is that just give up all these problems. Just give up identifying evil with them and understand that we're the eternal servants of Krishna. Jeev Krishna Das Abhishas Korle Ta'ar Dukanai. If we simply understand, Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, that I'm not this body, I'm eternal spirit soul, Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and I am His servant. You just understand that and no more problems. All your problems are finished. Why? How can it be so easy? It is easy. That Prabhupada said, as long as you're in this material world, there'll be so many difficulties. But as soon as you go back to Godhead, only bliss. In the spiritual world, Kataganam Natyam Gamanamapi Vangshi Priyasaki Tidanandam Jyoti Paramati Tadasmadhyamapicha. In the spiritual world, talking is singing. Walking is dancing. Always there is the sound of Krishna's flute. So that is our hope, that is our prospect. Not, of course, Marx, his idea was that religion is something for cheating people. You make people think, suffer now and you'll enjoy later. So therefore, the ruling classes, they said to the serf classes, okay, you suffer now and you'll enjoy later and we'll enjoy now at your expense. But actually, that may have been an exploitation or misuse of religion, but that doesn't change the fact that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We are His eternal servants. This material world is miserable, and our goal of life is to go back home, back to Godhead, go to Krishna. And if we do practice Krishna consciousness even in this life, then we'll become peaceful, sane, happy even in this life. And even if we have material problems, those problems, they seem insignificant to one who is practicing Krishna consciousness. Others, they may see my problem, so much anxiety. But if we just understand that anyway, what is all this? Everything in this world is temporary. Therefore, let me surrender to Krishna. And we see that the so-called big problems, he's not saying, what is the big problem? You're chanting Hare Krishna, that means that you're on the path of deathlessness, that whatever problems you have, they're all going to be finished anyway by this chanting of Hare Krishna. You're going to cross over that. So therefore we understand, whatever problem I have, that's only simply due to my identifying with it. Our real problem is how to become purified, how to become Krishna conscious. And how to do that? Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Pada Sevanam, Arjanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Atmanivedanam, Iti Pungsapita Vishnu, Bhaktis Chain Navalakshana, Kriyeta Bhagavat Yadha, Tanmanyi Dhita Mutamam. This is the topmost learning. Prahlad Maharaj, the great Acharya, he says, what is the great, Hiranyakashipu asked him, what is the best thing you've learned? And he said, this is the best thing I've learned. What is that? That we should worship Lord Krishna. How? By hearing about Him, chanting about Him, remembering Him, serving His lotus feet, Pada Sevanam, Archanam, worshipping Him in the temple, deity form, offering prayers to Him, becoming His servant, becoming His friend, and completely surrendering everything to Him. So this Prabhupada is giving a blueprint for a Ishavasya, a God-centered society, in which people live as sane human beings. Everything is there. Marriage is there, work is there, dharma, artha, kama, moksha, how to live a religious life, economic development, sense gratification, regulated according to the Vedic principles. Everything is there, and ultimately, prema pumarto mahan, the goal of life, to understand Krishna, to become full of love for Krishna. Everything is there, everything is given in this Vedic society which Prabhupada has envisaged. Now we may think, well, that's all right, but when is it going to happen? I'm here now, and I'm not a product of Vedic society, I'm a product of Rakshasa society, and I was brought up as a Rakshasa. This is all our position. So the answer is to stop being a Rakshasa and to start being a devotee, and then naturally everything falls into place. But if we think I'll continue being a Rakshasa, and at the same time I'll be Krishna conscious, then it won't happen. You can't mix the two. Chit Jarabad. You can't mix the spiritual and the material. To some extent, that is there, just like we see this marriage arrangement. That's got nothing to do actually with spiritual life. Although, if it is done according to regulated principles, if it is done according to the direction of realized persons, then even that, although it's not necessary for spiritual life, but if it is done considering that marriage is a necessary institution in society, not everyone is ready for the Paramahamsa stage of life, therefore marriage should be performed according to Vedic principles for purification. So in that way, everything, whatever material needs are there, they can be, under the direction of Guru, Sadhu, Shastra, they can be dovetailed in Krishna's service. But we should minimize our material necessities. Not increase more and more. Minimize our material necessities and increase our Krishna consciousness, increase our spiritual awareness. So Prabhupada wanted to introduce this in society. It's not an easy thing, there's no doubt, because we're all products of Kali Yuga, and it's difficult to overcome our conditioning. It's difficult to change our whole way of thinking, but we have to do it, otherwise we can't become Krishna conscious. As long as we think in terms of all the garbage ideas that we were brought up with, then we can't become Krishna conscious. We accept guidance, we have to accept guidance from self-realized souls, not from those who are groping in the darkness. So it's difficult, no doubt, to become Krishna conscious. And if we think about establishing Vedic culture, Vedic society, then often we're left with sense wondering, how will we do it, how to do it? But the answer is also very simple. It's not very difficult. The answer is, Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Hare Nama eva kevalam, kalo nastriva, nastriva, nastriva gatiranyata. By the power of chanting the holy names of Krishna, all the inebrities, all the discrepancies can be overcome. Kalaya dosha nidhe rajan, asti eko mahan guna, kirtanad eva krishnasya mukta sangha parang vrajit. This Kali Yuga is full of problems, full of faults, but there is one great quality, that simply by chanting the holy names of Krishna, all the difficulties can be overcome. So I may think, well, that's oversimplistic. But it's not. Actually, if we have faith in the holy names of Krishna, then all problems can be overcome by chanting, by the process of Krishna consciousness. But that chanting is not this kind of... It's not that. It's chanting means real chanting, like a child calling out to the mother. When we actually chant Hare Krishna, when we actually give attention to that, when we study Prabhupada's books very carefully, when we very assiduously engage ourselves in devotional service, when we take to the process of Krishna consciousness, then we get the result. Yeyatamam prapadyante tamstataiva bhajami aham. As much as we apply ourselves to Krishna conscious, that much Krishna reciprocates. We can't think that somehow or other we'll go on in devotional service and we'll make a lot of advancement. We'll make some advancement. Somehow or other, if we remain in devotional life, then we'll make progress. But real progress will come when we very attentively engage ourselves in chanting. This chanting Hare Krishna, how powerful it is. We read in Prabhupada's books, if we read Prabhupada's books, we read throughout Prabhupada's books, what are the glories of chanting Hare Krishna. By that chanting, all the difficulties can be overcome. In our community, we may have different disagreements. Not may have, we will have, definitely, certainly will have. There's no doubt about it. There'll be differences of opinion. Different devotees won't be able to get on so well. This problem, that problem. So we may think, well, we should concentrate on our relationships and have a big discussion about relationships and this and that. But really, Vaishnava relationships, it's not a matter of sitting down and talking about it. Talking, my mind and your mind and how to put it all together. But really it will come by chanting Hare Krishna together. Chanting means chanting and dancing. And dedicating ourselves, working hard together in Krishna's service, common goal. what is our common goal? To serve Krishna. And then everything will come nicely. And even if there's a little bit this, that, anyway, chant Hare Krishna. Don't make a big thing out of it. So actually, the process of Krishna consciousness, very simple, very straightforward. If we simply put Krishna in the center, where he's supposed to be, where he is, Krishna is in the center, but we're always trying to put ourselves in the center. If we put Krishna in the center, chant Hare Krishna, dance, chant. Anyone who chants attentively 16 rounds, studies Prabhupada's books every day, and engages in Krishna's service, they're not going to have big problems. There won't be any problems. All the problems come because we identify with this body and mind. All the problems come because we don't surrender to Krishna. And as soon as we surrender to Krishna, what does Krishna say? Mamekam sharanam raja ataham tang sarva papebhyo mokshayishami mashucha. As soon as we surrender to Krishna, the same thing Bhaktivinoda Thakur says. Jeev Krishna das evishas karleta ardukana. It's just this one point. If we surrender to Krishna, then everything nice. And if we don't surrender to Krishna, whatever else we may do, whatever half-baked solutions we may bring in, we're never going to be happy. We're never going to be peaceful. We're never going to understand our constitutional position. So this is as Prabhupada so many times said, the solution to all problems is simply to surrender to Krishna. Hare Krishna. Is there any question or comment, discussion?
I was wondering, in the society of Krishna consciousness, when we've got the solution to all problems, but Hare Krishna, why is such a high statistic of divorce and remarriage?
It means we're not applying the solution. The solution is there, but if we don't apply it, then we won't get the result. We actually have to practice Krishna consciousness. Prabhupada has given so much guidance for married life in his books. If that is followed, then if it's followed, then the first thing will be that there will be no divorce, because then if it's followed, then the first thing will be that there will be no divorce, because it's not allowed. So means devotees that, what I can see, all the problems in our society, most of them are generated because devotees are not studying Prabhupada's books. They're not implementing what is in Prabhupada's books. If you study Prabhupada's books, everything becomes very clear. But if you study some other person's books, or you take advice from someone who is not Krishna conscious, then you're going to get so many problems. And this is the nature of Maya, that in the beginning it looks very nice, but then later on you find that it's simply a cause of distress. So sometimes we want to consult people who appear to have solutions to problems. And they may appear to be very eloquent and very successful people, but because they're not on the spiritual platform, we find that in the beginning it may seem very good, but in the end it's simply a cause of distress. We saw in our movement in the late 70s up to the mid 80s, there was, in this part of the world, there was a lot of stress on, they invented some very complex management system, and they're always discussing manage this way, manage the other way, and all very complex ideas. And eventually the whole thing just fell to pieces, because the center, which they're reading all these management books, but the central point is that we should depend on Krishna, surrender to Krishna, that they became overwhelmed by the material intelligence, because these people, they have mundane intelligence, and it's fascinating, it's attractive, because it's Maya. Maya has some attraction. So it seems very attractive. Oh yeah, we should manage like this and do that, and invest some money here. And the end result was a disaster, because it wasn't pleasing to Krishna. If something is if whatever we say, do and think is pleasing to Krishna, that will be a success, even though it may apparently bring us through so many difficulties. But ultimately it will be a success. Whereas other ideas, they may appear to be very good, but if it's not pleasing to Krishna, it will ultimately end in disaster. non-Krishna consciousness. This is our philosophy. How it's practically applied, we have to see. But we shouldn't, in the name of practically applying it, sometimes we twist things out of proportion and take some obscure quote from Prabhupada and say, yes, we should do this. And Prabhupada said this, therefore bring in all the garbage ideas because Prabhupada said this. Prabhupada said, yes, you can also learn from materialists. Prabhupada said that. That's true, he said that. He said you can learn how to, he said you can learn how to do your laundry. He said you go to the laundromat, see how they're doing. They know how to do it. You can learn Vedic culture, even Mayavadis, they may know some points of Vedic culture. So if you learn Vedic culture from them, that's very good. But if you learn their philosophy, if you associate with them and learn their philosophy, then very bad, then you become spoiled. So you have to be very, very careful. Who we associate with, what we associate with. Any other question?
Many devotees, they join because of unhappiness and, it's kind of thing being disturbed. But then, after a while, they might feel happy in Krishna consciousness. And then the actual impetus to become Krishna conscious slow down and overcome that.
How to overcome complacency in devotional service. The devotee has to be very sincere to serve Krishna. In the beginning one may come for different reasons. Mostly in the modern age people come, one of the main reasons is because of a sense of distress. But then if we simply, okay, now everything's okay. I've got enough money, enough food, and a nice place to stay, and Hare Krishna, everything's nice. So a devotee always has to be introspective and see, what is my position? One may join out of a sense of distress, but then you have to actually adopt the goal of life to become Krishna conscious. And one has to be very sincere to do that. So either introspectively or what's from outside. Someone comes along and says, hey Prabhu, you're in Maya. Or a spiritual master comes along and says, you're in Maya. Either someone says, do something, work hard for Krishna. Don't be satisfied. Oh, well, I don't chant all my rounds nowadays, but anyway, I go to the temple once a month. It's okay. I feel okay. I think Krishna's happy. I think Krishna's happy, but Krishna doesn't say he's happy like this. Krishna, in the form of the spiritual master, says, chant minimum 16 rounds a day, associate with devotees. So you may think that Krishna's happy. I'm happy, therefore Krishna's happy. No, it's run the other way. Krishna, we have to make him happy, then we become happy. So that sense of happiness, that lethargy and complacency, that's what happens. That instead of thinking how to make Krishna happy, you think how to make myself happy. And then gradually, I'm happy when I arrange for myself all kinds of material facilities. So your consciousness changes again to Maya consciousness, and again you fall in Maya, and then you're not happy. So better practice Krishna consciousness very seriously. For your own happiness. If you want to be happy, practice Krishna consciousness seriously. Therefore we have these classes to discuss all these points. Therefore we have Prabhupada's books. If you read Prabhupada's books, Prabhupada, his every line, every word, Prabhupada is surrender to Krishna, you rascal. Every line. It may be Prabhupada is discussing so many different points. The creation of the material world, how the daughters of Karda Muni were given away in marriage, but underlining, it's like the percussion, underlying the melody. It's just all the time. Surrender to Krishna, surrender to Krishna, surrender to Krishna. That's the underlying current in Prabhupada's books. And we should read these books carefully, every day. Read these books carefully. What is Prabhupada saying? Prabhupada said this, every word is for the benefit of human society.
Understand that Srila Prabhupada said should be all of his books for Maya.
Yes. Explain what is there to explain. Just do it. And if you don't, you'll fall down. It's very simple and straightforward. What it means is if you don't read Prabhupada's books, then you will fall down. Fall down means you'll stop chanting Hare Krishna and start chanting something else. Maybe Jai Michael Jackson or something like this. So that's what happens. What is there to explain?
How can we understand that though, that when Srila Prabhupada put so much in Bhagavad Gita, so much in the Srila Bhagavatam?
What do you think Prabhupada said, that if we do read his books we fall down? If you don't read his books we fall down?
No, I mean that, the Bhagavad Gita is not the start of
Yeah. Yeah.
And if you understand that as well, Srila Bhagavatam, it means to study it very deeply. So does that mean when you study Bhagavad Gita very deeply then read all the other books? Or because you were saying study the books, so how should you think about it?
Read Bhagavad Gita first. Then read a few times, then Bhagavatam. That I recommend. And go on reading Bhagavatam. Because we have a tendency, if we don't hear regularly, if we don't study Prabhupada's books, then our mind, it's like when you're driving, you have to constantly even if you're driving on a straight road, especially if the wheels aren't aligned properly, then you have to constantly bring the wheels back to, you have to adjust the steering wheel. Otherwise you veer off the road. So in the same way, if we don't hear it regularly, if we don't do that adjustment all the time, then our mind goes off, our way of thinking goes off on a tangent. So especially Bhagavad Gita, Prabhupada's Gita purports, they are just exactly suitable for bringing us back to the basic understanding. We're not this body, we're eternal servants of Krishna. Human life is meant for serving Krishna. It's just best book, just for putting us exactly on line. Therefore, we always recommend, Prabhupada recommended, study his books very carefully. There are many books. They may be read also. But unless we understand Prabhupada's books, unless we go through them, unless we're grounded in Prabhupada's books, then we may read so many other things and we may not get the right conception. Even if Prabhupada said that, even to understand Bhaktivinoda Thakur's books are relatively simple compared to writings of other acharyas. But Prabhupada is saying, you can't understand Bhaktivinoda Thakur, you have to understand him through me. I've seen people, they read Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Jiva Goswami, they don't study Prabhupada's books, and they come out with all these funny ideas. They don't understand. Actually, you can't understand unless you go through Prabhupada. That I'm seeing. Prabhupada said it, and not only theoretically, but practically we're seeing it.
So when we're studying the Bhagavad Gita, as we progress in Krsna Consciousness, the knowledge state becomes more understandable to us. It seems to me that now I can't understand a lot. I know he's saying a lot, because it just seems like a statement rather than a realization. So,
it's a statement of reality. Every word in Prabhupada's books is fact, but because we are identifying with this body and mind, therefore we think reality is that which is conceived of by my mind. But actually reality is that which is known which is spoken by Krishna. That is reality. So instead of trying to judge Bhagavad Gita through our own perverted consciousness, we should simply accept this is correct. And whatever else I may think, which is not in the line of Bhagavad Gita, we should know immediately it's all nonsense. If we study with that understanding, then we can quickly understand Bhagavad Gita. Whatever I think, it's all rubbish, because I'm a fool. Guru Mori Murka Deki Korilo Shasha. If we understand what Krishna says, he's not a fool, I am a fool, therefore I have to hear from Krishna. And then very quickly we can understand everything in Bhagavad Gita.
Is there remorse to have somebody that explicitly understands the Bhagavad Gita, to actually teach us how to study the Bhagavad Gita, how to understand the Bhagavad Gita, also
let's not make everything too complex. Prabhupada said to read his books, so we should do that. You don't have to have someone you know how to read, you read Prabhupada's books. And you read applying your mind to it. Now there may be also classes and there may be seminars, but it's not that you can't read Bhagavad Gita and understand it. You can. That's why Prabhupada wrote the book and had it distributed all over the world. It's the same. People in Britain, they're very, very complex, really, over-intellectual or something. It's always trying to make everything too complex. It's a very simple thing. Read Prabhupada's books. But we think, no, that's too easy. I have to make a computer program and this and then I can understand Bhagavad. Then I can read. No, you just pick it up and read. Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Then you don't have to put it through all the things I remember I heard this and Freud said this and Darwin said this and some other rascal said this and what do they? They don't think Krishna is God. Or maybe he's not God. Maybe it's all a bluff. No, you just accept. Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is accepted by all authorities such as Devala, Asita, Narad, Vyas, Prabhupada, Bhaktistan Saraswati. Well, they all say, so they must be right. And Freud didn't say, well, who cares about him? He's a rascal. So we accept. We accept what is given by the Acharyas. Very simple thing. If we simply accept what Krishna says, then everything becomes very simple and easy. But because we are so much accustomed to making everything very complex, that we have to consider this and that and something else, you don't have to. If all the great Acharyas accept Krishna as God, then it's very simple, we just accept also. Just like a child asks his father, Father, what is this? This is a tree. Okay, it's a tree. He doesn't argue with him, well, maybe it just appears to be a tree, but actually it's a cardboard sign from a film prop. No, it's a tree. The father said it's a tree, it's a tree. So, Guru says Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. As you have to just accept. And everything becomes very easy. Otherwise we'll go on the Manoratham, the chariot of the mind. Carried on the chariot of the mind. Carried where? Throughout the whole universe, in 8,400,000 species of life. Therefore, Bhajahure Mana, Srinandanandana Abhaya Charanarabindu. Simply place our mind, Savai Mana Krishna Padarabindu. Place our mind at the lotus feet of Krishna. And then all fears, doubts, delusions, confusions, they all go away. As Prabhupada used to say, what is the difficulty? There's no difficulty, but we invent difficulties.
I was wondering about the inevitable complexities and community interactions and relationships. So I'd like to know how I can overcome my attachment to my opinion as if it's absolute.
It's a very simple thing. You're not absolute. You're not the supreme absolute truth.
And I was just wondering, because I hear different devotees giving kind of clues that where it's not a good society nowadays, so it's not that we should marry them when they're very old. Maybe we should just leave it up to Krishna and they get married.
Leave it up to Krishna how they get married. Well, it won't happen. It'll happen. It means leaving it up to them. They'll find someone. Krishna's not going to come and arrange their marriage. Yeah, this is what Prabhupada was talking about the Vedic society. Definitely it's a very different society nowadays. So at this time we may not be able to do everything exactly according to the Vedic society. According to Vedic culture, girls should be married before the age of puberty. That's illegal in most of the countries of the world nowadays, although I guess it's possible to do it secretly or something, or you could do it but not legally or something like this. But anyway, from what I can see, this is a very sensitive point, I know, and many people say different things. But and Prabhupada also made allowance for the fact that it is different society, but at the same time, Prabhupada very much stressed on the Vedic principles. They are the actual way in which human society can be conducted, to have it relatively peaceful, and Prabhupada wanted to establish this. So, and even from the practical point of view, I think we'll find that those who have young daughters, if they arrange the marriage with devotee boy, maybe also who's the son of devotees, then the same thing that Prabhupada was talking about, that then they will feel peaceful and they won't feel like running around and looking for so many boys, and they'll be chaste, they'll be fixed in their marriage. But then the parents have to support that all the way through. I saw one of my godbrothers, he was married to daughter of a devotee, but then after some time the mother who had arranged, the mother of the daughter came and took her away and said, I don't want you to live with him anymore. So the parents, they also have to support that marriage, and if there are difficulties, they don't just say, okay, now this is the modern Western solution. There's difficulties in the marriage, okay. You have a pain in your eye, okay, cut it out. And that's not the solution. The solution is put a little ointment, and then even if there is pain, tolerate it, because it's your eye. And if you cut it out, it's going to be worse. You may think, well, I'll put an artificial eye, I'll put another one back, but it won't be the same. So it requires parents. Actually, in youth, nowadays the kids, they have the idea, I should be independent, and even parents, they encourage that. You find children in Kami society, they grow up 18 years old, get out of this house, what are you doing here? You're grown up now, look after yourself. But actually young people, they need, even though they have that feeling like I want to show I can do things by myself. So parents have to be sensitive to that, but at the same time they should know that even though the kids may not think they do, but they very much need guidance, and they need guidance more at this stage of their life than at any other time. It's a very delicate time when you come out from childhood into adult life. So they need guidance more at this time. They need help because the senses in youth are very, very strong, and the desire to enjoy them is very strong. And the sensation of sense gratification in youth is very strong. And you feel like you can enjoy your body is healthy, whatever you do to it, however you abuse it, whatever kinds of intoxicants you put into it, or whatever you do, the body just, after it just recovers and you can go on. But that doesn't happen forever. We see so many people of our generation, their health has been spoiled by indulgence in youth. So really, guidance is needed, and if from a young age the children, if the girls are married, I would recommend that, because I see that's what Prabhupada recommended. The girls are married young. And they have to find, as he had said here, yata shila, yata ruchi. Very carefully, the husband has to be selected, and then again, the parents, they have to keep on supporting the children, helping them, guiding them, even after their marriage. Because many people, they express shock that all of a sudden, I'm living with this person, I didn't really know them that well, and all of a sudden, this is it, you're here with them. Of course, in Vedic culture, the husband and wife, they never met until the day of marriage. They never saw each other. And now among South Indian Brahmins, they have a thing that they may just meet each other once. And then what they often do is the parents will arrange for the boy, they say, okay, here's 3-4 girls, you choose one of them. How you choose? You sit with each one of them for 10 minutes, in the company of both sets of parents, then you choose one of them. That's that much choice they have. So, it may think, well, how can you get to know them? You should spend some time, live as friends together for some time. This is the modern idea. They live as friends, but you don't actually know what someone's like. And you have to live with them for quite some time, and then your consciousness may change also. You find someone, what they're like at 20, they may be quite different at 30 or 40. So you go into marriage as much as possible with astrological guidance, seeing yata shilam, yata ruchi, what is the character what is the taste. But then after you're married, then that's it. Now we've made a commitment in front of the deities, in front of the devotees, in front of the fire. We've made a commitment. You have to stick with it. And actually, if you do stick with it, if that commitment is there to stick with it, then you'll be satisfied one way or another. Even sometimes we see that they don't get on that well, the husband and wife. Even Prabhupada was saying he didn't get on very well with his wife, but there was no question of divorce. They stayed together, and in this way, the society is somewhat peaceful. Whereas if I didn't like that one, let me try someone else. And then naturally you're going to find out in someone else too, something you didn't like about them. There's no such, in astrology, if you see, you match the charts, there's no such thing as 100% compatibility. There's no such thing. Especially in Kali Yuga, it's the age of quarrel. So if you just accept, okay, there may be some quarrels, or okay, he may be somewhat nasty, or she may be somewhat... Anyway, we're married, so at least for the next 25 years, you have to go through with it. And that way, society will be stable. And children born of such parents, they know that even if they see them arguing, then that's called Bahu Ramve Laghu Kriya. Dampatya Kolaha, as Chanakya Pandit says. That husband and wife arguing, that may be a big, I won't be with you anymore, I can't accept you, and then afterwards, finished. And again, alright, what's the next thing? There'll be again talk, big quarrel, big words. But everyone knows that husband and wife arguing, no one bothers, because this is in Vedic society, because they know anyway they're husband and wife, and they may argue, but they have to go on living with each other. So they'll go on. Our modern society is a very diseased society, I must say. We should take guidance from what Prabhupada has given us. That will, even there may be difficulties with it because of the conditions in the modern age, but that is some guidance from the realized platform. That is some guidance from the same platform. So because we are insane and because society is insane, we may have difficulty adjusting to that. But we should know that if we follow the guidance given by Vedic authorities, then at least we have some hope of becoming sane. Whereas if we think, well, I'm insane and I'm born of an insane, we're living in an insane society, therefore we should also live according to the advice of insane people, and according to what they think, that will be sanity, but actually it's insanity, then we'll always remain insane. We should know, anyone who's not Krishna conscious, he's a crazy person. So if we accept their advice, we'll simply remain crazy.
I have also a boy, and it's kind of like a very different for the boys. So, like they are supposed to be trained as brahmacharis. So, there's this kind of a thing that like at the same time you can't marry girls to brahmacharis.
Yeah, that's the problem. That Prabhupada said. He said the managers in our movement should see that all the brahmacharis remain brahmacharis and all the brahmacharinis get married. And devotees asked, how is that possible? Prabhupada said, that's your management problem. About the what?
The analogy you gave of driving. Straight road, if you go off.
If you're not constantly putting the wheel back to the right point.
But I'm just thinking how easy it is to become, suddenly deviant and go slightly off, even without realizing. And even if we read, we may interpret somewhat to suit our own. And maybe go on for some years and not be aware that actually we're, not quite strictly on the path. How to avoid it if no one's actually telling us, so we're not so aware.
Once Prabhupada was asked, why is the person Bhagavat considered more important than the book Bhagavat? Prabhupada said, because he twists your ear. Book you can read. That's interesting. Well, I think something else. But the spiritual master will tell you, you think something else, you're a rascal. Stop thinking like that nonsense.
When you say that couples should kind of stay together always, that this is actually Krishna consciousness.
No, it's not Krishna consciousness, it's Vedic culture. Krishna consciousness means to be conscious of Krishna.
So what happens if obviously couples where one falls down and both fall down? So what happens if one or other people?
You have to judge each situation individually. You can't give any blanket you can't give any blanket formula. But still, we shouldn't just simply take, now he's only chanting 15.5 rounds, immediately throw him out of the house. Divorce. Rather, that one partner should try, if one is falling away or is fallen, should try to help them and even stand by them in times of difficulty, knowing that, after all, my husband or wife is a devotee, otherwise how are they chanting Hare Krishna before? Now they're in Maya, but anyone who's chanted Hare Krishna, they must have some taste for that. So let me try and revive that taste. It may take a little time, I may have to live with their nonsense for some time. One devotee was telling me about one couple he visited in Canada, devotees, and actually the husband, they had 3 children, they had and have 3 children, and the husband was pretty much in Maya. He wasn't offensive, but he was weak. So anyway, the wife went on, encouraging him, and she went on in herself with her Krishna consciousness. He didn't stop her from doing it, but himself was weak. And eventually, after some time, he again picked up his Krishna consciousness, and now they're together doing very nicely. There are many, many cases. When I was in Russia last year, one lady came to me and she was having a very hard time from her husband, who was actually a demon. He came to our programs and he was disturbing our programs, and he was actually a big demon. She said, well, he's beating me and this and that. I said, anyway, just try. You just try and tolerate, you just try. You give him prasadam. You just try for some time. Don't just jump out of the marriage immediately, because you have 2 children and it's very disturbing to them if they're taken away from at least the father. Even if he's overly heavy, at least they're getting some discipline from him. That's needed for young boys especially. They need his father to discipline. So anyway, after one of the programs I met him, not exactly met him, he came up to abuse me, but I didn't abuse him. Actually, I embraced him and said, actually, you're a devotee, something like this. So anyway, this year when I came back to that area, I didn't go to that town, but I got the news that now he's also chanting Hare Krishna. So it's not impossible. Nothing's impossible. I get actually many letters talking about counseling. I get many letters and this kind of thing. And it's often, my husband, he's not Krishna conscious enough, what to do, or my wife isn't Krishna conscious, or my grandmother, or this, or that, or some. And always I say, don't just be patient, go on chanting Hare Krishna, and I give some part of the Bhagavatam to read. This will give you some guidance, especially these chapters in the 3rd canto. And in almost all cases I've seen that where the party who feels themselves being offended or tortured or whatever, they simply become patient and peaceful in their mind. And then the other person, they respond to it. Often one may be, the husband and wife may be torturing each other mentally or even physically. But if one stops doing that and actually becomes more Krishna conscious, the other one also responds, and they also become inspired to become more Krishna conscious. So, actually another thing, someone was asking me, how can you give advice on family life? You never been married. So then I quoted from Prabhupada, the Upadesha Amrita purport, in which it says that there are two ways of learning. One is by hearing and one is by experience. And a more intelligent person learns by hearing. So if you read all these things in Prabhupada's books, and you simply repeat them according to the situation, then it's the best advice. I don't have to be hit over the head by a hammer to understand that being hit over the head by a hammer isn't very good. But if someone thinks that being hit over the head by a hammer is very nice, I can tell them. One of the partners is?
Forcing the other partner to break the principle.
Yeah, this is a common question, and I give the same answer. That breaking the marriage is just breaking it off is it's very strong action. It's better to try and reform. Try and reform. It's not impossible. And like I say, I've seen many cases where reform has come by the partner who is being abused becoming more Krishna conscious. You may have to tolerate. For some time, Prabhupada's sister, she was an initiated devotee, her husband was a fish eater. Most Bengalis are fish eaters. So she tolerated. She cooked fish for him every day. She tolerated it, and eventually after many years he repented.